TikTok user posted a terrifying encounter that happened right outside his house. A child appeared wearing a long, furry skirt, a thick jacket, and an animal-style mask standing perfectly still. No motion, no voice, no explanation. The strange visitor showed up several times, always surrounded by the same unnerving quiet. Eventually, the man built up the courage to walk closer, filming the whole time. He tried speaking.
You okay? Are you okay? Hey, buddy. Hello? Seriously, man, you're kind of creeping me out. Where are your parents at? Hello?
But the figure never moved or made a sound. It just stood there, completely unresponsive. To this day, no one has been able to identify who that child was or understand why they kept returning, leaving the entire incident wrapped in mystery. This clip, uploaded on July 14th, 2024, came with the caption, "Fear strikes a remote farm hidden deep in the wilderness, the red-eyed, hostile Bigfoot." In the footage, a pair of glowing red eyes can be seen staring into a house from the yard. Because of the heavy darkness, identifying the creature itself is impossible. Still, those eerie eyes make it appear anything but normal. No known wildlife has eyes that shine such an unnatural red, prompting many to believe it might be some kind of cryptid, a dangerous predator lurking somewhere in the wild. Even though the caption labels it as a Bigfoot, no one can say for sure. A hiker was trekking along a remote path in the Appalachian Mountains when he believed he had captured a perfect photo, a fox and a deer appearing together in one frame. But then, something far stranger caught his eye in the distance. A shape stood motionless among the trees. Was it just another traveler? According to him, the figure looked tall and covered in hair. Not quite human. It was too far away to verify, leaving the mystery unsolved within the foggy Appalachian wilderness. A Reddit user was exploring a quiet path deep within the Appalachian Trail when he came across something that initially resembled a body. There was no odor, but the shape looked disturbingly human, filled with dread. He moved closer only to realize it was actually an abandoned campsite. Yet it wasn't a normal one. The area was covered with children's blankets and stuffed animals, one blanket tightly wrapped around a cluster of toys. Then he spotted a truck parked nearby, making the setup seem far too intentional to dismiss. Even after confirming it wasn't a corpse, the unsettling discovery continued to haunt him. This recording dates back quite some time, but has only recently resurfaced, leaving viewers across the internet deeply puzzled. The strange encounter reportedly occurred in Latvia, a small country in northeastern Europe. A man was walking casually through a forest there when he unexpectedly came face to face with what appeared to be a Bigfoot-like figure. The creature was entirely covered in thick hair and moved upright on two legs. Once it noticed the camera, it immediately turned and dashed across a nearby highway. Because there were no vehicles present, many assumed the road was remote or possibly even abandoned somewhere deep within the woods. The witness was left completely stunned, unsure of what he had just seen. Observers later pointed out that the being's movement was distinctly non-human. Its crouching posture, heavy arm swings, and wide shoulder motions all seemed unnatural. Enthusiasts quickly proposed that it could be a Bigfoot, though its smaller frame led some to suspect a juvenile Sasquatch. Others suggested it might belong to an entirely different cryptid species native to Latvia. During a wedding hosted inside an old Appalachian cabin once owned by a local folk storyteller, one guest managed to capture a mysterious photo. No one at the celebration had been dressed in black, yet the image revealed a dark, blurry figure standing inside the room. The area was reportedly empty when the picture was taken. Even the professional photographer couldn't offer an explanation. There were no camera issues, and nothing like this had ever appeared before. So, who was the unidentified guest still haunting the mountains? On August 5th, 2025, Andrew Clifton was out walking his dog along a winding path in the Appalachian Mountains. He was casually recording in slow motion on his phone, just a normal day outdoors.
Steady. Steady. Ooh.
Later, while reviewing the clip, he spotted something odd streaking across the frame. It moved far too quickly to be identified, and its altitude and flight path made common explanations like birds or arrows seem impossible. Its speed and angle didn't match anything ordinary, leaving its true origin completely unexplained and still a mystery to this day. A family spent a weekend at their cabin hidden deep in the Appalachian foothills, hoping for a peaceful getaway. That night, they sat outside, laughing and playing music around a small campfire. Then, someone noticed movement near the tree line, a pale figure peeking from behind a trunk. The laughter stopped at once. They hurried inside, locking the doors, still trembling and wondering what they had just seen in the shadows of the Appalachian forest. A man was recording near an old, isolated cabin, tucked within the Appalachian Mountains, when he caught sight of a large, brown, furry figure. It walked upright with a calm, steady motion, moving as though it had lived in those woods for years. The being didn't seem to notice him, slipping quietly through the trees surrounding the cabin. For a brief moment, the camera zoomed in, capturing just enough to fuel speculation. Could it really have been Bigfoot? An Instagram user posted dash cam footage captured around 200 on July 25th, 2024. The clip shows a vehicle racing along a narrow, twisting road through the Appalachian Mountains when an animal suddenly darts across its path. The driver slows down and then spots something lurking just beyond. He later said it felt as if the creature had appeared to warn him of danger ahead, calling it a guardian angel in disguise. Without that animal, he might have continued straight into a deep ravine hidden in the darkness. Some viewers insist the video is AI generated, while others remain convinced it's real. The truth, however, still remains uncertain. What do you think? While hiking through the Australian outback in search of the legendary Yowie, a group of explorers captured intriguing thermal footage. In one frame, 4 human figures can be clearly seen, but just to the left appears a much larger heat signature. Its proportions and outline don't match a person or any known animal. Even more unsettling, nothing unusual was noticed in that area during the trek. Now the group is left wondering what could have been standing beside them, completely invisible to the naked eye. This fascinating trail camera footage allegedly showing Bigfoot comes from west central Alberta, Canada, and was first brought to attention on January 17, 2024. The camera had been placed to monitor and collect data on wolverines in the area. It was never expected to record something like this. The device was initially triggered by a buck standing behind a tree, briefly peeking out before stepping away. But on the opposite side of that same tree, something else was lurking. At first, the figure stayed completely motionless. Once the buck left, however, it stepped out from its hiding spot. The being appeared incredibly tall, broad, and dark, its body seemingly covered in thick fur. To gauge its size, this footage was recorded by a trail camera installed by a local resident in the Appalachian Mountains on December 25, 2009. It shows a large, dark figure appearing to kneel near a small campsite. Food and snacks had been left out in hopes of attracting a Sasquatch. The creature's posture is strange. Its head sits low with no visible neck, and its frame looks massive, with broad shoulders unlike those of a bear. The outline seems distinctly human in the upper back and shoulders. One especially odd feature is a deep groove running down its back, dividing the muscles in a way no bear would have. Soto, who or what was sitting beside that picnic setup deep in the Appalachian wilderness? Let's take a look at some truly mysterious footage. A man named Hunter Peter claims he has the body of a Bigfoot stored inside a freezer. He says it has 5 toes.
5 toes. You can see its very large hands. See its eyes. It clearly is a male. You can see right there. This is the front of the Sasquatch. You know, compared to a human's hand, like my hand's not even close.
Very large hands and visible eyes. Comparing its hand to his own, the size difference is enormous. The footage shows what he describes as a frozen Sasquatch corpse packed in ice. The body is huge, matching typical Bigfoot reports, covered in dark brown, matted fur, with massive hands and a bulky build. The head appears decayed and bloodied, with closed eyes and jagged teeth, giving it an unsettlingly real appearance. Could Hunter Peter actually possess a genuine Bigfoot body, or is this a carefully planned hoax, perhaps a hyper-realistic model made to deceive? A man was camping along a secluded trail in the Great Smoky Mountains when strange noises woke him in the middle of the night. At first, he thought it was just a deer or another forest creature wandering nearby, but soon, the sounds grew louder and closer, echoing through the fog-covered trees. With no moonlight and no one for miles around, he realized he was completely alone. He stayed inside his tent and managed to make it safely until dawn, though sleep never really came. Whatever was moving out there in the misty Appalachian wilderness remains a mystery. The following trail camera clip is said to capture close-up, crystal-clear footage of a Bigfoot, and for some viewers, it's among the most convincing evidence ever released. According to reports from MTV, the sighting occurred near the Klamath River along the Oregon-California border. The trail cam had been fastened to a tree branch roughly 10 feet above the ground. When reviewed, the footage revealed a massive, dark figure covered in long, shaggy hair. The face looks eerily similar to that of a primate, yet it's clearly not any known species of monkey. Since the camera was positioned about 10 feet high and the creature's head sits only a few feet below it, estimates suggest the being could stand around 8 feet tall. Its limbs appear huge, arms and legs far too thick and proportioned to belong to someone in a costume. This striking and highly detailed footage has yet to be proven fake, and continues to perplex even seasoned researchers. Could this truly be a Bigfoot caught on camera, or just an incredibly convincing illusion? In a quiet valley near the Appalachian Trail in North Carolina, a hiker reported seeing a strange bull with horns curved into a perfect circle above its head. Some suggest it's merely a rare genetic mutation, while others think it could be something deeper, a sacred guardian from old mountain folklore, silently watching over the land. But honestly, maybe it's just AI trickery, right? These days, it's getting harder and harder to know what's real anymore. So what do you think? In June 2020, Sandra Hughes vanished while hiking in California's Sierra National Forest. Her vehicle was later discovered near a trailhead, and her campsite appeared as if she had simply walked away, but she never came back. Search teams scoured the surrounding area, uncovering only her sleeping bag and a few personal items. Sometime later, a young boy reported seeing a woman with blue hair nearby, though it's uncertain if it was Sandra. With so few leads, her disappearance remains a mystery. What really happened to Sandra Hughes? At the beginning of the year, a video was released online featuring a camping enthusiast who had pitched his tent deep within the woods on his own property. The precise location of this encounter was never revealed, but he is said to live somewhere in the northern United States. He had mounted a trail camera to a nearby tree to monitor the site while he was away. Most of the time, the footage captured nothing out of the ordinary, just the occasional deer or small animal wandering through. But one day, the camera recorded something that not only startled him, but also shocked viewers across the internet. The footage shows a massive, dark, ape-like figure dropping a huge tree branch directly onto the man's tent. When zoomed in, the creature appears to be covered in long, dark hair, with wide shoulders and an oversized head much larger than that of a human. Considering the tent, likely around 4 to 5 feet tall, the creature's height seems to reach between 8 and 9 feet. Some speculate the short duration of the video is due to the trail cam's limited storage or its motion-triggered recording system. Regardless, is that the clip is undeniably captivating. As for the creature's apparent aggression, it's believed the campsite may have been unknowingly placed within the Bigfoot's territory. Since then, the man has moved his setup to a different spot in the forest, hoping to avoid any future confrontations. A man went exploring an abandoned railway siding deep in the Appalachian Mountains on a cold evening. He snapped a few photos of the long-forgotten tracks, now buried beneath tangled ivy and wild brush. Later, while reviewing the pictures, he spotted a lone figure standing among the trees, one that hadn't been there before. He hadn't seen anyone while taking the shots and couldn't imagine what it might have been. Was it a restless spirit wandering the old mountains, or simply a trick of the fading light? Adam, the creator behind the channel Ads Ventures, joined a few friends on a trip to a remote forest near the Welsh border, believing it would be the perfect setting for an outdoor horror movie. The forest already carried a reputation for being haunted. While setting up,
What was that? What was that?
Do you know that I've recorded?
Did you hear that? Yeah, I actually did. Like a low... Was it?
a strange and unexplainable sound echoed through the trees, startling the group. Confused voices filled the air as they tried to identify where the noise came from. They brushed it off and continued watching the movie, but as the night went on, the tension grew heavier.
Hey, Mom? Dad?
Oslo, where's it?
Mom?
What are you looking at?
Someone's sleeping. Don't move.
He's just literally there staring into the blackness.
What is it?
Where's it, Oslo?
Oslo, it's okay. Get him.
Their dog, Oslo, began staring into the darkness, fixated on something unseen. When they called for him, he didn't respond. Moments later, the atmosphere shifted abruptly, and without warning, the camera powered off. Panicking, they packed up quickly and left the area. Later, when Adam reviewed the footage, he noticed something unsettling in the final frame before it cut out. A sudden, freezing rush of wind sweeping directly toward the lens, scattering dust and debris across the screen. It looked completely unnatural, like a force rushing straight at him. From that night on, Adam became convinced the forest was far from ordinary. Whatever had been there made one thing certain: they would never again watch a horror movie in those woods. The explorer returned to Southway's footpath, a location recently known for multiple muggings. Ignoring warnings about safety, he decided to walk the trail at night. Before long, he noticed a hooded figure standing completely still in the darkness ahead.
Do you see what I mean? God damn it. There's just a guy hanging up down here with his hood up. Don't really want to instigate trouble, so I put my camera down. Didn't want to, you know. How strange. So we've literally just come down here out of a random night to see what's it all about. And already we've come across a person that's stood down here with their hood up. There's glass all on the floor down here. We walked down to the park. I actually grew up down here. How it's become this bad, I don't know. Yeah, so there's the old orange light. Massive dark spot. If you look up there, it's like daylight, look. We've had one guy looking at, look, he's just over there, look. What's he doing? There's a guy just stood there with his hood up at the bottom of the footpath. Look, you see him?
It didn't move or make a sound. He lowered his camera, unwilling to provoke anyone. The air was heavy with tension as he explained that they had come out on a random evening to see what the area was like, only to immediately encounter someone just standing there with their hood up. The path was covered in grass, dimly lit by an old orange streetlight that cast deep shadows across the park.
Look, the same fucking guys are down here. Holy shit. Oh my god. He's down there. Fuck this shit. Okay, he seems to have disappeared. This is probably a fucking stupid idea.
He mentioned he had grown up nearby but couldn't understand how the place had changed so drastically. Then, glancing down the trail, he saw the same motionless figure still standing there. Feeling uneasy, he decided to turn back. The next night, his curiosity got the better of him, and he returned to see if the figure had been real. To his surprise, it was there again, standing silently in the same spot. His fear escalated as he realized it was no coincidence. Suddenly, the figure vanished into the dark. Feeling that whoever was out there had bad intentions, he chose to leave immediately. This time, he didn't return to Southway's footpath, convinced that what he had encountered in the shadows wasn't something he wanted to face again. The following account details a possible Bigfoot encounter captured by a lone hiker while trekking through a vast stretch of wilderness. He spent hours immersed in nature, eventually wandering into an area surrounded by towering pine trees. The forest was so dense that it was nearly impossible to see through to the other side. Suddenly, he heard something large moving beyond the trees. Assuming it was just a big animal, he pulled out his phone and began recording. But what appeared on camera was far more disturbing: a massive, upright creature walking past. Many quickly labeled it as Bigfoot, though it looked different from the usual descriptions from Mayu. Its arms stretched down to its feet, its frame appeared thinner, and it moved with a hunched posture. Based on its proportions, the being seemed to stand around 10 feet tall. So, what exactly do you think this could have been? While hiking along a narrow path in the Appalachian Mountains, a Reddit user took a quick photo to show how far behind their partner they were. It was just a casual snapshot, nothing out of the ordinary. But later, while looking through the pictures, they noticed something strange. In the image, a person appears ahead of them on the trail. Their partner insists no one was there, and the user doesn't remember seeing anyone either. The light hits the figure's hair and arm, making it look solid and real. Yet, at that exact moment, the trail had been completely empty. To this day, they still can't explain who or what appeared in that photo. A photo was recently made public, reportedly captured by a driver's dash cam around 1:10 a.m. in Anaheim Hills, California, within a quiet residential area. The image shows a dark, hairy creature that appears both ape-like and human-like, unlike gorillas or apes that usually hunch forward when they move. This figure stands upright, leading many to believe it isn't a primate at all, but possibly a Sasquatch. The Sasquatch, more commonly known as Bigfoot, is a legendary creature frequently reported across the United States. However, Bigfoot has never been officially recognized by science. Despite this, the large amount of photographic and video evidence, along with countless eyewitness accounts, has led many to believe it could be real. Bigfoot is said to be highly elusive, often remaining out of sight. So why would one appear in a peaceful California neighborhood? It raises a serious question. Could this be an elaborate hoax, or is it genuine proof of Bigfoot caught on camera? A climate journalist from Wisconsin vanished while hiking alone in Norway's Follafana National Park. Alec Lunn, an experienced hiker, had fallen from a cliff and broken his femur. When he failed to catch his flight home, his wife quickly reported him missing. For 6 days, severe weather and heavy storms prevented search teams from reaching the area. At last, a helicopter crew spotted a small red shape deep in the wilderness. It was Alec. His family expressed disbelief and relief, saying they had nearly given up hope after so many nights with no updates and constant bad weather. Defying the odds, rescuers managed to reach Alec alive after almost a week stranded on the cliff. His survival was hailed as nothing short of miraculous, a story of endurance, faith, and sheer luck. In June 2023, a mother and daughter were walking along a familiar wooded path, one they had taken countless times before, without anything strange ever happening. But this particular day turned out to be different. As they enjoyed the quiet surroundings, their peace was suddenly shattered by the appearance of a massive, unidentified creature. The being was spotted just off the trail, partially hidden by brush.
Oh, come on inside! Carly!
Startled, the mother urgently called for her daughter to get inside. The enormous, hairy creature, realizing it had been seen, quickly turned and bolted into the woods. Though frightened, the mother managed to capture a fairly clear video, zooming in to reveal more detail. The creature appeared to be covered in thick brownish fur, with only its face and hands visible. Its face, in particular, looked disturbingly human-like. The footage quickly spread online, sparking fierce debate. Skeptics argued it could be a person in a costume, pointing out that the fur seemed too evenly trimmed. Others disagreed, noting that the creature appeared roughly 8 feet tall, with broad shoulders and a powerful frame proportions unlikely for a human. Some speculated it might be a prop or elaborate prank. Still, no conclusive explanation has surfaced, leaving the mystery as chilling and fascinating as ever. A hiker was making his way alone through the Appalachian forest late at night when something strange caught his eye. From within the shadows, a pale face with 2 glowing eyes appeared to be staring directly at him. He froze, uncertain whether it was an animal, a cryptid, or something far more mysterious. Near the edge of the frame, 2 additional pairs of glowing eyes flickered for a moment. Though they were never clearly captured on camera, whatever it was, it stayed hidden in the darkness, silent, motionless, and watching from the trees. In Florida, an experienced Bigfoot researcher began receiving constant calls and emails from an unknown man. Eventually, the stranger sent over several photos he claimed were of Bigfoot, insisting they had been taken nearby and suggesting they meet in person to discuss them. But every time a meeting was arranged, the man canceled 4 times in a row. Growing suspicious, the investigator decided to examine the photos more closely. That's when he noticed something strange. Years earlier, during a book signing in his home state, a man in a Bigfoot costume had crashed the event, creating chaos. Looking carefully, the costume in the photos appeared to match that same one. Now convinced, the researcher believes the mysterious caller was never legitimate, only attempting to ridicule him from the very beginning. On July 27, 2025, Adam and Ryan from Paranormal Essex ventured deep into the Appalachian Mountains to explore an abandoned World War I-era observation outpost. The site is rumored to be haunted by the spirit of a soldier said to guard it from a darker force. While setting up their daytime filming equipment, Adam decided to hide behind a moss-covered stone wall to prank Ryan. The sound of dry leaves crunching underfoot echoed through the narrow mountain trail. Then, a second set of footsteps followed close, deliberate, and unmistakable.
Hey! Where'd he go? What? Ryan? Ryan? Fuck off! No way! Where was you? No fucking way.
They stopped right beside him, but no one was there. Later, Adam caught sight of Ryan far down the slope.
Adam froze. The steps stopped right beside him, but no one was there. Moments later, he spotted Ryan far down the slope. Nowhere near the outpost entrance, with the forest floor covered in brittle twigs and leaves, it would have been impossible for anyone to move quietly. The realization sank in: whatever had been walking beside him wasn't human. Both men left the site unsettled, wondering if they had truly encountered the ghostly soldier said to still patrol those mountains. In 2023, a hiker wandering off-trail in the Appalachian foothills of West Virginia discovered a secluded blueberry patch hidden deep within dense forest. The region was already known for past Bigfoot sightings. As he followed a narrow game path leading into the clearing, 3 powerful thuds suddenly reverberated through the soft ground beneath him. No animals were in sight, yet enormous footprints were clearly embedded in the soil. The hiker now plans to return to the same spot with proper gear, hoping to uncover more evidence of what might be out there. The footprints were clearly pressed into the soil. The hiker now plans to return with proper gear and plaster to collect more evidence from the area. There isn't much background information available for this video. It's unclear exactly where it was filmed or who the man in the footage is. What's known is that he was out hiking, casually documenting his trip. The clip begins normally, showing his surroundings and the peaceful scenery. But something enormous seems to be quietly lurking in the distance. As he turns, the camera briefly captures a dark, hairy figure moving in the valley behind him. The man, unaware he's being watched, continues walking and filming as usual. He later claimed it wasn't until reviewing the footage afterward that he noticed the strange presence. When zooming in and analyzing the video closely, the figure appears to resemble a Sasquatch covered in dark fur, with a wide frame and broad shoulders. Though the distance makes it difficult to gauge exact height, the creature seems considerably taller than the man recording. That's all for tonight's video. Which encounter gave you chills? Let us know in the comments below. Got your own experience? We want to hear it. And whatever you do, don't miss what's coming next.